Welcome into Jets Overtime presented by SiriusXM. The Jets dropped their Week 6 matchup in London to the Denver Broncos, 13-11. Quincy, we were talking all pregame before it started that the Denver Broncos defense was going to be a tough challenge. Yeah. What was the most challenging part, do you think, to the Jets offense?
I think it was the pass rush, right? We knew all about Nick Bonito. We knew about JFM. We knew about all the guys they had there. Garrett Bowles, all those guys ended up showing up today. Unfortunately, the Jets didn't have a plan to protect Justin Fields enough, and Justin Fields didn't have a plan to get the ball out quick enough. So the combination of those two things just created a bad atmosphere in this game. The defense showed up today, honestly. The Jets defense did a great job showing up. They did what they needed to do, and even special teams, right? Usually we're talking about these games, we're talking about defense not playing well, offense, finding their rhythm. Today was the opposite of that. The offense wasn't able to find their rhythm. Defense really showed up, and special teams made some big plays as well. Yeah,
and we heard earlier in the week that Quinnen Williams called the players-only meeting and was talking to the defense really about stepping up and saying that they were 0-5 because of the defense taking that onus upon himself. Now, you mentioned it briefly, the 9 sacks that the Denver Broncos had. How much does that disrupt not only an offensive rhythm, but also just the momentum? Yeah, I mean, the 9 sacks, they ended up losing about 55 yards total. So that completely disrupts whatever you have going on. If you only have 45 yards passing throughout the whole game, then that 55 yards completely wipes out anything you're doing in the passing game. So it makes it really challenging, right? There were so many other things that maybe they could have jumped into. I think maybe a screen might have been helpful. This is a team that does not run many screens. I think they probably ran 3 or 4 throughout the whole season. So a really low screen team, but just finding ways to disrupt that pass rush. If the run game is not working, you have to find some other way to make the pass rushers think differently. If I just can pin my ears back because you ran the ball first down, second down, and third down, you're going to throw the ball, then it makes it easy for me to make these plays. Right, and predict almost what's coming up. Exactly. Now, the offense did look like they gained a little bit of momentum change in that beginning of the second half. Yeah. What do you think was different from the first half to the second half with the offense? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think the biggest thing was they were able to run the ball just a little bit. They got out in the second half, and they were running the ball, pushing the ball down the field, but again, they weren't able to convert that into a touchdown. Now, this game was not needed. They didn't need too many touchdowns. They just needed the field goals, and unfortunately, they weren't able to get that last field goal to win the game. What do you think was the biggest difference for the defense and the special teams unit playing at the level that they played in this game? Because I think, in my opinion, and maybe you think this as well, it was their best game of the year so far, defense and special teams. The leaders stepped up. Like, honestly, the leaders stepped up. We heard about the leaders stepping up during the week, but then the leaders also stepped up during the game. Javian Sherwood with 13 tackles showed up. Jermaine Johnson showed up with a sack. You have another guy, a new guy, that's feeling the vibe from the defense coming in as Jarvis Brownlee and getting that fumble recovery or that forced fumble in the beginning of the game, right? So that really brings you a lot of juice. I think offensively, they didn't have anybody that could bring any juice, and I think that's one of the biggest issues right now is that when a defense finally does step up, who's going to turn around on the offensive side and say, hey, listen, this isn't good enough. What are we going to do? Right. They got a lot of players back into the fold, including Jermaine Johnson, got that first sack in his first game back. Kene Nwangwu was back into the fold. And then you had, of course, like you just mentioned, Jarvis Brownlee Jr. making a big play and Andre Sisco recovering that fumble. Okay, we're going to go to Tottenham and hear from Eric Allen and his thoughts after the game. Thanks, EA. Yeah, we did hear about that big performance from special teams. It was across the board a big team effort between special teams, all of those guys who had been playing on the field, and then you have the new Kene Nwangwu getting back into the fold and into the mix. Now, let's look at a highlight of this game and kind of see how this game unfolded from a perspective, just a 30,000-foot perspective. Now, it started out with this forced fumble that the Jets ended up recovering, getting their first turnover that they had been really searching for, Q.
New guy showing up big. Great job. And Cisco picking up the ball afterwards.
Yeah, massive. That ended up leading to a field goal that Nick Folk made. That was 52 yards, so the Jets went up 3-0. And then later in the first quarter, Bo Nix connected with Evan Ingram for just a massive 16 yards, and that got them the first down. It ended up leading to a Denver touchdown all alone in the end zone, so they ended up going up. Now later, this is the Kene Nwangwu return that everyone was talking about. Oh, sorry, that was Isaiah Williams. That ended up leading to a field goal as well. So this game was really back and forth, very close. Now, this is the big point where the Jets actually got a safety in the end zone because of an offensive holding penalty. So this is where the Jets took the lead 11-10. That was a big turning point and momentum shift before this big third down completion with Mims.
Yeah, the third down's a real challenging thing for the team this week.
And then, of course, the Broncos got that field goal. They pulled ahead 13-11, and these were the final couple plays that the Jets couldn't connect on. It ends with a sack on Justin Fields. That's kind of the end of the game right there with just over a minute left. The Broncos get the ball back, but that's how the game ended. It was very close for all of that third quarter. So really, what was the turning point in your mind, Q, where this game changed?
Yeah, so we got a chance to kind of look at it a little bit, but I think that turning point was on third down, right? That 3rd and 8, you have an opportunity to get them off the field. It was in the fourth quarter with about 8 minutes left to go, and you have right down the sideline. They ran this wheel earlier in the game, something similar out of a different personnel, and there's another opportunity here where you have double posts. Both guys are taking their guys out of the play, and now you have the wheel coming up behind it. It's a great play against cover 4. It's the reason why they ran it multiple times. They knew they had the Jets' number on that play, and it ended up working out for them.
And that led to the field goal that then eventually gave the Broncos the lead back and ended with the final score. We're going to hear from Coach AG at the podium after the game and what he thought of the Jets' performance.
Our injury that we had Stiggers. He has a hip being evaluated. Cam Jones, he has a hip also. He's been evaluated. Same thing with Garrett. All right, so Garrett had a couple of things that happened in the game. He went back in the game on one with his hip, and he came out again in that same situation. So I'll figure what that is. Disappointing game. Man, I thought our guys fought their asses off. Obviously wasn't good enough. It's tough being close. At some point, we gotta finish one of these here, and that's been something that we talk about how we finish, and we didn't finish the way that we needed to go and get this win. Give those guys a lot of credit. Defensively, they were all over the place when it comes to their defense, but I thought our defense played well. This was probably our best game, our defense. Guys, a takeaway. I think we were on the better end of the penalties, which is positive on both ends. But offensively, I mean, they gave it to us, and we all saw that. I don't know how many yards we averaged per rush, maybe 3-some yards a carry. I know we ran the ball quite a bit. Our passing game was non-existent, and that's something that we got to get better at. Those guys did a really good job of pressuring our quarterback, and they are a team that pressures quite a bit. So we knew that going in. And it was tough. So, but there were a lot of good things from a defensive perspective, from a special teams perspective, that we're going to build on. And, man, we're going to go back to the drawing board and get some things cleaned up on our offensive side and get ready to go to the next game. So we put ourselves in this hole. We're 0-6, and we claim that. But we're going to continue to work and get better. That's what we have to do. All right, any questions?
That next game that Aaron Glenn is going to be prepared for with the Jets will be against the Panthers at MetLife Stadium Sunday, October 19th at 1 p.m. presented by JetBlue. Get your seats at nyjets.com/tickets. nyjets.com/tickets. Okay, Quincy, let's go into your film breakdown and see what you have in store for us this week of what you liked to point out from the Jets. Offense or defense? You let me know.
Yeah, so it's all defense. The defense did a great job today showing up. They really made some plays. They even gained some points for the team right here. You're going to see the hold that we talked about earlier. It's a great job all across the board. You got man coverage. Great job by Stevens on the outside there to actually get an offensive PI. But then you're going to see here 6 up, right? 6 men, man across the board. You're going to have 6 men looking like they're going to blitz. They end up sending everybody because of the great punt by Austin McNamara to put them down inside the 5-yard line. Look at this, man. Clemens, man, he comes with no shirt on, comes with the club. It was about time for him to show up and show why he looks like that and why he's so strong. So it's a great job by him forcing a penalty in the end zone. Then we're coming on the other side. Jamien Sherwood had a great day today, 13 tackles. This one right here is a good job of eye discipline. A lot of times we've been having guys running out of their gaps, not being in the right position. This is a good job by him to see where the play is, see where his man is, keep his eyes on his man, and show up big for his guys. And also I want to point out Juwan Briggs, number 91 right here, stopping the puller from the other side to kind of open that gap up for Jamien Sherwood. On the second one here, another job, again, it looks like blitz, but you have Sherwood playing that QB spy. Does a good job of staying in the lanes, keeping his eyes on his quarterback. Again, eye discipline. Staying where you need to be at so you can make the plays you need to make. Everybody doing their job. Good job by Jamien Sherwood here, knocking down the pass lane.
Now, Q, it felt like the fourth quarter specifically for Jamien Sherwood was where he really came alive. Was this his best game, in your opinion?
I think it was his best game of the year, right? I think, he spoke a little bit about, Quentin Williams having a talk and all these other things, right? So I think it's a good job for him as a leader of this team to show up for his guys, to really show them how we're supposed to show up each week going forward. Hopefully they can maintain this.
Yeah, and as the Mike linebacker, that's his duty, communicating to the defense, but also helping lead the entire defense. EA actually caught up with him outside the locker room after the game, and here's what he had to say.
Well, collectively as a unit.
Oh, most definitely. Quentin Williams called the team players only meeting early in the week, and he challenged us, he challenged himself, and we rose to the occasion. Taking this time out to actually get to know each other, meet each other, and understand why everybody plays this game possessed us to play a better game today, to play better as a defense, as a unit. And I feel like that's what we weren't doing these past weeks. Again, we're going to go out there and we're going to do our thing every week going forward.
Do you think this moment can springboard you guys forward to future success? I mean, you lost a close game, no more victories, nobody's happy in the locker room, a lot of banging and screaming. But with that being said, do you see you guys take a step forward this week?
Most definitely. Like you said, there's no moral victories. Obviously, everybody's upset because our record is not who this team is. We are not an 0-6 team. We do not practice. We do not come to work. We do not approach any day as 0-6. We are a good football team. So especially in games like today where we come up short, it's very frustrating because we know what we should be and we know what we're capable of. But again, it will spring forward because this week was beneficial for us. Like I just said, we all got to know each other, hang around each other, we have fun. So we see that's what worked for us. So we're going to keep that going. And again, it's going to turn around. You just got to keep believing and trusting the process.
Can you talk about the difference for you out there with Jermaine Johnson back in the lineup, and then also Jarvis Brownlee acquired a couple of weeks ago. He got more reps in practice, and we saw him out there making plays.
Oh, yeah, both of them. Jermaine, so it's happy to see him back here because, he had his injury. I had the same one. He came back. He's been sidelined because whatever. So it's exciting to see him out there making plays, getting comfortable, playing fast, not thinking about anything. Jarvis, we knew he was going to be a great addition to our team because we watched him when he was on the Titans and stuff. And like you said, he made some big plays, some positive stuff out there he did. So obviously all of that goes hand in hand. We played as a unit today. We got some key pieces. Everybody was more comfortable. We eliminated gray areas in our defense, and we were able to play fast. We just got to come up with another takeaway. We just got to eliminate mistakes and just got to play ball.
Do you like the fact that you do have the takeaway monkey off your back? Jarvis did have the punch out, Cisco with the recovery. You guys also scored. You come up with the safety on a holding call.
Today was a good day of defense, but now this game's in the past. We got to find ways to build on this. We got to find ways to multiply those takeaways, get multiple safeties or whatever the case may be. We just got to find ways to do more for our team.
You had 13 tackles out there. You played really well. Last question: what can you say about Sauce Gardner? He was locked up with Cortland Sutton most of the game, and Sutton had one catch.
You just said it. Yeah, one catch. That's Sauce Gardner. I believe he's a tremendous player, super smart, great guy to be around, and I'm happy to have him on my team. I'll take Sauce over any receiver, any day of the week. And again, it's just a blessing to play alongside him.
Appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you.
The New York Jets are celebrating the most passionate and committed fans of the game with the annual Fan Hall of Fame presented by Ticketmaster. Submit your nomination at nyjets.com/Fan Hall of Fame. Terms apply. Now, Quincy, we just heard from Jamie Sherwood. He did say our record is not who this team is.
Yeah.
What does he mean by that?
Well, I think it's a big part of just believing in who you are, right? And you believe that you're a 6-0 team, right? I think when you watch the film, there's always just one or two small plays that really transform the game into a whole nother issue. And so they know this, right? They know that that they have the ability to be a better team. And I like that they're saying that. I like that they believe that, because that's what you need. You need to believe yourself in order to be in this league. But it's unfortunate because they're still showing up as an 0-6 team. So they had to figure out what those small pieces are in order for them to turn this boat around.
Yeah, those small pieces that will eventually lead them to get over the hump. Now, we heard Jamie and Sherwood talk about the defensive performance. But not only the defense, how does the special teams unit also repeat that kind of performance that they had today going forward for the rest of the season?
Well, listen, Coach Banjo has done a great job with this unit. Week in and week out, they end up showing up. Now, obviously, they've had some issues before, but now they've got all their pieces back, right? They got Kene Nwanwu on the team. He's back out there, and his first time he touches the ball, he takes it 76 yards on a kick return. He even downed a punt within a 10-yard line, right? Austin McNamara had 3 punts within the 20-yard line. So they're just all showing up on all phases. Nick Folk continues to be reliable. That's what they brought him in for. They brought in the veteran for him to make these kicks, and he's been doing just that. So if special teams can continue to make these strides towards success, I think you'll see some things start to turn a little different. It's just today it was the offense that let the team down.
And the thing that I think we're overlooking a little bit too is that Quantez Stiggers was not in the mix with special teams, and he usually plays a big role in special teams. He had to leave the game pretty early for an injury, but that also should add another element to the entire special teams unit. Not only just having Kene Nwanwu back in it, but also then you have, like you were saying, Nick Folk, who whenever he goes up to kick a field goal, to do anything, you're never worried about if it's going to go in or not, because he has been very reliable. Now, we're actually going to go back to Tottenham because EA caught up with Kene Nwanwu after the game. I know Kane is very happy to be back in the mix. He'll be even happier to be back at home at MetLife Stadium next week when the Jets are taking on the Panthers at 1 p.m. at home. Then they go to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals for another 1 p.m. kickoff, and then it's the bye. So they have 2 more games, Quincy, before that second half of the season kind of begins for them after the bye. What do they need to do in one of those 2 games against the Panthers or the Bengals to secure one of them a win before going into the bye and taking that week off?
Well, both of those teams are kind of struggling this year, right? You got the Panthers that are trying to figure it out. They just got a win, I think, recently. And then the Bengals now just have Joe Flacco. So it'll be interesting to see how those 2 teams match up against the Jets. I think the Jets have to figure out how to get a win. I think the biggest thing right now is to compound on the things that the defense did and the special teams did. And then offensively, you've got to figure out what's the best scheme, right? I think the next 2 teams won't have as good of a pass rush as the Broncos. So maybe you can run the ball again and get back to what you know.
Right. The Broncos, their bread and butter is the pass rush, and they are spectacular at it. So the Jets did face a very tall task today. Now, I will say, against one of those 2 teams, the Jets, something that has been sticking with me is something that Anthony Becht was saying pregame, was just that the Jets need to get their drives and finish. At the end of them, just get the point. So I think that's going to be a big focus, hopefully, for the offense in these next 2 games before the bye. I think one of them will definitely be a win. I'm excited to see which one it is. That's all from us here at One Jets Drive. Caroline Hendershot, Quincy Enunwa, Eric Allen back in London. The team will be traveling home today. We will see you guys next week when the Jets are back at MetLife taking on the Panthers at 1 p.m. We'll see you then.